This is a congratulatory message for my dad, Dan Bowers, perhaps better known as Pastor Dan to some of y'all. Wanted to throw out there that yes, I am in fact his son, beyond the good look and the sweet hairdo. Um, but I also wanted to say a few words about my dad because it's hard to separate him being a pastor from him being my dad for all of the 40 years that I have known my dad in one way or another. He's always been a pastor. And so there are many things that pastors and fathers do that are alike. One thing in particular is servant leadership. And I think my dad has been an excellent example of a servant leader throughout my life. Um, with a lot of leadership comes some very glamorous times, but also some not so glamorous times. I remember when we, as a family, traveled to Washington, D.C., and my dad was in a meeting with President Reagan when he was in office. But I'll also bet you that the following week when he was back in his office, back in Augusta, Maine, that my dad was also the one taking the trash out at the church. And there's nothing wrong with that. But with leadership comes a bunch of different types of responsibilities, some glamorous, some not so much. With leadership also comes difficult decisions, and through the years, I've seen my dad make a lot of difficult decisions, and sometimes they went well, and other times there were challenges. And I think that as a leader, you kind of have to get over the fact that you are sometimes held more accountable than others. Certainly also, my dad has served the community in which he's been involved. It hasn't just been a function of the church where he's served, but whether that was being on the YMCA board way back, or Christmas caroling at a place called Am High in Augusta, or being in the Pammy Chorus. My dad has been involved in numerous parts of the community above and beyond simply working and being a pastor. And that's something that I hope to emulate. And lastly, I think my dad, as both a pastor and a father, has been a good shepherd. It's being a shepherd, certainly being church folks. We hear that a lot, and we know what it's like. But I think there's a certain amount of coaching that's involved with being a shepherd. And I recall my dad being a soccer coach for my brother and I for many, many years. And his constant shout from the sidelines was, "Hustle! Hustle!" And maybe that applies in many ways to being a pastor too. Also, being a protector is something that I think my dad has been good at. Certainly, there are times when the job calls for a pastor to go and protect the spiritual walk of the flock, and certainly through hospital visits and late night conversations and early morning conversations too. My dad has done that. Before I sign off, I do want to throw out there that as a shepherd, my dad will always need a flock. And so I would encourage you that though this may be the end of my dad's time at Rumney Baptist, to stay in touch with him as a member of his flock, because simply the end of one thing can be the commencement, yes, the beginning of another. So thank you for this time. Thanks, Dad, for all you've done. Have a great rest of the evening.